This episode of Rick and Rick Rule the World is brought to you by Taskin, the first name in ultra-stylish, premium-quality travel gear, like the exquisitely designed Taskin One expandable backpack. With 9 practical variations, the Taskin One is always the right size for wherever life takes you next. Save 30% on your next purchase when you use the promo code R&R Take 30. That's R&R Take 30 at TaskinSF.com.
Next up, anytime's the perfect time for a quick round of Rick and Rick Loaded Questions, our multiple-choice pop quiz on recent developments in the worlds of marketing, media, tech, and pop culture. All right, welcome back to Rick and Rick Rule the World. Rick Matheson and Rick Wooten. And Rick Wooten, are you ready to play Loaded Questions?
I am. I'm ready.
Awesome. All right, question number 1. In 2023, which is growing fastest? A, Rick and Rick's beer bellies. B, digital advertising spend. C, out-of-home ad spend. Or D, direct mail spend. In 2023, which of these is growing fastest?
Well, I know the answer is probably my waistline.
Me too.
So I'd go with that, but I'm going with the out-of-home.
What the hell is the answer? Hold on. You are correct. The answer is C, out of home, though obviously it could also be B, Rick and Rick's beer bellies right about now. So according to Digiday, digital ad spend is up 10.5% this year to $626 billion.
Dang.
Yeah, but while digital ad spend far exceeds the amount spent on OOH, or out of home, or direct mail in absolute terms, both are growing steadily this year. For example, old school out of home, this is billboards and that kind of thing, is up 14% this year, which jives with, I think it was one of my predictions in our predictions episode, if I remember correctly, but it's up to $8 billion this year.
Wow.
And direct mail, as in the physical snail mail that comes to your physical mailbox, is up 3% to $43 billion this year. The reasons they're plentiful, but among them is the fact people are leaving home again, but also it's the fact that digital ad costs are up. It's getting more expensive. We've got all these data privacy initiatives and cookies and new regulations. It's making measurement harder and by extensions making the digital ad landscape more expensive and murkier. We've talked about that a number of times on the show. It's also worth noting that OOH and direct mail are also being aided by digital technologies, such as, obviously, digital billboards, but also QR codes on billboards and also direct mailers. In fact, as Digiday reports, startups that spent 2 to 3% of their ad budgets on things like direct mail last year are now allocating as much as 10% of their total ad budgets there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah. You know, it's one of those things where even before all this stuff, physical direct mail in particular could be so powerful because very few people send it anymore that it can be really amazing for folks, especially if there some kind of interactivity with it.
Yeah, you know, it's actually something I've been trying a lot with my campaigns in the last year, is, you know, especially as people are starting to return to the office. There's not a lot of physical mail coming to them, so it's had a surprising amount of response. So it's definitely worth everybody trying.
Absolutely. All right, question number 2. Oscar Mayer has announced that after 87 years on the road, the Wienermobile has officially been rebranded as A, Cybertruck, B, the Droop Coupe, C, the Vienna Sausage Soft Top, D, the Frankmobile, or E, Herbie the Love Nub. The vehicles in Oscar Mayer's nationwide meat fleet have been renamed what?
I'm going to go with D, the Frankmobile.
You are correct. Yes, the Frankmobile. So according to CNN, Kraft Heinz's Oscar Mayer brand has announced that the Wienermobile will now be called the Frankmobile to celebrate the new recipe for its hot dogs. Now, what is unclear is if this is permanent, but Oscar Mayer's has said that it's testing the name to see if it, quote, cuts the mustard with its fans. Now, Rick, we talked about this on an episode. The first Wienermobile dates back to 1936, and today there are apparently 6 of these 23-footers all over the U.S.
That's incredible. You know, and I still have yet to go for a ride in one. I mean, I thought after covering this a couple times, they'd hook us up, but they have not yet.
Yeah, come on, Oscar Mayer. You're not cutting the mustard with Rick and Rick here. Speed it up. All right, final question. During the first quarter of 2023, e-commerce's share of seasonally adjusted retail sales topped A, 3 nickels in a Rick and Rick Pez dispenser, B, a sweet 16%, C, a fat 15%, or D, a thriving 13%. E-commerce accounted for what percent of seasonally adjusted retail sales during Q1 2023?
I'm going to guess 16%.
The answer here is actually 15%. So according to the Wall Street Journal, online sales accounted for 15.1% of retail sales in Q1. That is up 3% from the fourth quarter of 2022, and it puts e-commerce sales up 8% year over year. Now, by comparison, overall retail sales, excluding e-commerce, were just up 2.9%. Now, bonus points here. Are these e-commerce numbers higher or lower than pre-pandemic levels?
Oh, interesting. I'm going to say higher.
You would think. In fact, they're basically flat. So in the 10 years prior to the pandemic, e-commerce sales were growing at about 15% per year and spiked to more than 16%, almost 17% during the first quarter of 2020. Also worth noting, the biggest beneficiaries of growth right now aren't Amazon and other e-commerce giants. It's physical world stores with BOPIS, buy now, pick up in store. It can be a mom and pop bookstore or big box retailers like Walmart. Their year-over-year growth is in the healthy double digits.
Right.
And what's interesting, Rick, I saw this, is that UPS and FedEx are both seeing weaker shipping volumes, less than pandemic highs, which makes sense. They had to come down from pandemic highs. But I don't know, I kind of just thought it would happen a little slower, I guess.
Yeah, me too. But you and I predicted that BOPIS would become, a fairly significant part of the retail world. We talked about how people like to get things physically. They like them right now, and BOPIS allowed them to do that. So I can't say I'm terribly surprised by that.
As the Wall Street Journal puts it, which was interesting, Rick, the headline was, online shopping is getting old, at least the online only type. So something to think about.
Yeah.
Something else to think about. Joining us next time for an all-new Rick and Rick Rule the World. Until then, stay safe, keep each other safe, and keep on coming back to the one show where everybody's name is Rick.
And everybody rules the world.